Very warm welcome to this Athlone Toastmasters meeting, which is the second meeting of this year since we started in September. We were supposed to have a hybrid meeting tonight, but as it turned out, we are having an online-only meeting. We'll have the hybrid meeting on 26th October, because the 12th of October would be the contest night, humorous speech and table topics contest. This is what Toastmasters and actually life is all about, improvisation. We generally expect that things, when we go from a point A to point B, we generally expect it's a straight line. We'll just get there from point A to point B. And real life, what happens is we go up, we come down, we go up, we come down. But finally, we do reach the destination. And that's the most important thing. The persistence, determination. This is what, as human beings, we are capable of. When we decide on something, and when we have the determination, then we do get to the goal, even though it might be a little bit delayed, or it might not be as we planned it to be. But in the end, we will get to the goal. With that note, I would like to hand over this meeting to the Toastmaster of tonight, Francis Keenan. Let's give a huge round of applause to Francis.
Right, thanks very much, Dimash. As you said, I'm the Toastmaster of the evening, and I'll be basically running the meeting from the start to the finish. What I'm going to do first is ask the various people performing roles to explain them. So I'm going to ask the timer to explain their role, please.
Many thanks, Francis, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters. My role is timer for tonight. So it's to keep track of the time and to record the times of the various speeches. For the topics master and for topics and the impromptu speeches, there will be 2 minutes allocated to be given on a topic, and for 1 minute for a response. And for the prepared speeches, I'm sorry, I don't have the agenda in front of me, but typically the prepared speeches run from 5 to 7 minutes. So I use my card system here, my background system. So I'll just bear with me, and I just so for the so when the speech is at 5 minutes, a person will see the green background. They can pin the timer and see the green background. And for 6 minutes, then the background will go to that on my camera view. And then when the speech goes over 7 minutes, you see red, just like so. Okay, so I hope that's clear to everybody. Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster.
Right, thanks very much, David. Could the grammarian explain their role, please?
The grammarian could. Sorry, grammarian was struggling to find the microphone mute button. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Francis.
You're welcome.
My role as a grammarian tonight is to help you improve your vocabulary, your grammar, your listening skills and evaluation skills by monitoring language and grammar usage. I will write down the language and grammar that you use, and I will note things like incomplete sentences, mispronunciations, grammatical mistakes, various things like that. And I will also give my complete report when called on at the end of the meeting. And I will introduce the word of the week, of the day, but you can use it for the week if you want. And that word tonight is inebriated. So drunk, intoxicated. Hopefully we can get some interesting conversations out of this word tonight. Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster.
Right, thanks very much, Anna. So our next role will be the general evaluator, and I hope you won't hold it against us for starting the meeting late. So if you could give me your role, the objectives of your role, please, Antoinette.
Thank you, Francis. Now, I'm the general evaluator for our meeting tonight, and my role will be to keep track of everything that takes place from the moment that we started the meeting right up until the very end. I'll note all the things that we did well or do well, and all of the things maybe that we may be able to improve on in the future. I won't be evaluating the prepared speeches. We have our 2 evaluators for that, and I'll report back at the end of the meeting. Thank you very much, Francis.
You're welcome. So before I hand over to the topics master, I want to welcome you all here tonight. And there has been no change in the agenda. We still have 2 speeches. And I would like to draw your attention to the actual agenda, which is done out by Anna Howard. I always feel the VP of Education doesn't get enough credit for the amount of work. And like this agenda took a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of preparation. So I think we should put our hands together for a great VP of Education. So it's on with the meeting. And I will hand you over to the topics masters. So I can't really tell you anything about them. I had everything prepared for Charles. So we'll hand over to the topics, and I wish everyone the best of luck. And please, I don't exist here. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. Let's begin. I will be improvising a little bit, but I do have a little backup list of funny questions mostly, which should be in line with our competition our contest next week. So hopefully some of our contestants can get a bit of a practice run tonight. First of all, I'm going to ask you, what breed of dog would you like to be, Sharon?
Well, thank you so much for the question. What breed of dog would I like to be? I think the breed that comes to mind is a Labradoodle, because they are the most spoiled, attention-seeking, lovable rogues, I think, in dog history. And generally, they don't shred hair. So unlike myself now in my showers, where my hair just shreds constantly, it would be nice to be a non-hair shredder. And I'd also be big enough to class myself as a dog. For me personally, I wouldn't like to be something like a Chihuahua or a little handbag dog that has to be carried around and taken wherever they want. I want to decide where I want to go and decide when I want to come back for my cuddles. So I think Labradoodles are lovable rogues, and let's face it, most dog owners are just so committed to their pets. It's a dog's life nowadays isn't such a bad thing. So for that reason, I think definitely is a contradiction. I definitely would like to be a Labradoodle if I was to come back as a dog. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Sharon. Anyone wants to add anything? Anyone has a dream or breed that they would like to be? No? Okay, perfect. We'll move on then. Deirdre, what was the worst haircut you've ever had?
Madam Topics Master, the worst haircut I ever had. Well, I believe many, many years ago, my mother briefly trained as a hairdresser. Now, when I say trained as a hairdresser, I suspect she went in for a half day when the main hairdresser was away. But when she used cut our hair, my fringe was always slanted. Now, I have curly hair. May not have been obvious to you in the past because my hair was always so short, but I have curly hair, and it's quite difficult to see what the hair is going unless you really know what you're doing. So that has to be it. Now, during COVID, my hair grew. There was no help for it. It just grew and it was wild, it was wayward. I didn't really care a whole lot, I have to say, because it wasn't going anywhere. I have to say that my hair did not meet with anybody's standards at all. I'm not really a person who likes spending much time on my hair. My children love their hair and cosset it and cuddle it and love it and treat it with everything, male or female. I am a wash and go person. I suppose having really, really short hair was so convenient and so handy. First time when I left home and I went to a hairdresser in Athlone, I was in Athlone and I went to the hairdresser and she remembered this and she quoted to me afterwards that I came into her and I said, I want it all off because it was long, it was heavy, it was horrible. Which, so that's it. I blame my mother for the most horrible haircut and COVID for the second worst. Madam Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Deirdre. I also blame my mother, so I know where you're coming from. Thanks very much. Sept, do you think horoscopes are accurate?
Great question, Madam Topics Master. Coming from the Indian background, horoscope is quite an important part of the traditional Indian ways. And I think there is science involved in this. One of the examples that is given is the high tide and low tide that happens in the ocean. We know the reason why the high tide happens. When it's a full moon, the high tide happens, and when there is a no moon, it's a low tide. So we can understand that there is an influence, the planetary influence on the body of water. What is ocean? It's a body of water. Even though it's a salty water, but it's still a water. And in human beings, we have water as well, but in the form of blood. And we have a lot of liquid within us. So even if we look from the scientific perspective, the planets have influence on the body of whatever bodies of different things we have in this earthly planetary system. So looking at that, I would say if the person is knowledgeable, then it has got its own importance, its own significance. Of course, it depends on the knowledge that the person has. If people don't have proper knowledge and if they try to be astrologers or different other things, then it's basically like any other field of knowledge. You know, if someone is trying to become a doctor, but they don't have a proper qualification to be a doctor in a particular field, there is no use, even though they might be externally a doctor. So if there is a real astrologer who knows his topic very well, then it is absolutely valid. That is my conclusion. Thank you very much, Madam Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Sept. Absolutely agreed. Any add-ons here?
Yes, Anna. Can you hear me there?
Yes, I can hear you, David.
Not dismissing, I'll just put myself on for 1 minute here, beg your pardon. Not dismissing anybody's beliefs or what they think about horoscopes. I happen to believe, I wouldn't happen to ascribe to any belief behind them at all. I'm just short of I just think they're short of a whole load of nonsense, really. They're just a whole paragraph of words. And if you look through each horoscopes, it's paraphrasing a similar outcome, really. So I think they're only filler for the newspaper, and I don't know. I wouldn't have that much time for them anyway. But it's entertainment. It's light entertainment. I suppose some people believe. Some people believe them, and some people just half believe them, and it's entertainment. But is it? It's entertainment in a way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. It's great, always great to hear an opposite point of view on a topic. Thank you. Yeah.
Hello, Anne. like David, I don't see, what I see is I can read all 12 and I'll find myself in all 12. So I don't see any difference really in any of them. So like, I would be more aware of like some magpies. 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy, and we go on. You know, when I see magpies, I think. When I see horoscopes, I just glance over them. Now, I'm not saying magpies, there's anything in them, but I find it interesting when I see them. I hate seeing 1, but I love seeing 3. Never happens though. So that basically is my attitude towards horoscopes.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Francis.
They're always good, so I do feel good when I read them.
That's great. That's all that matters. Thank you very much. Helen, what's the best or worst prank you have ever played on someone? We can't hear you, Helen. No, your microphone is off.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, perfect.
Okay,
Super.
what's the worst prank I played on anyone?
Or best prank.
Well, when I was in college, there was a girl who taunted and drove every single person in our area mad. So one day we decided, okay, she needed a lesson. We stole a piece of paper, and that was on my back, from the accredited authority in the college. And we sent her a letter, and we told her that her behavior had come to their notice and that she is summoned before the court. And we set up our own court. And we put her before a whole judge of people that she didn't know. And we asked her all kinds of questions, and she was shivering. And that night she went back to the room and she was in the horrors. And so she started again. And so we had 5 big, strong women who took her and put her in the shower and gave her a cold shower. And we said, I think you've learned your lesson. Good prank, bad prank, I don't know.
Thank you very much, Helen. I'm speechless. I suppose whether it was good or bad depends on the perspective of the person speaking. Maybe she would say it was the lesson that she needed, or maybe she would say that she's still in the horrors from it. Either way, thank you very much, Helen. That was very interesting. Siobhan, what was the worst style choice you ever made?
What an interesting topic. The worst style choice I ever made. I would actually pride myself on having fairly good style, even though now I hear from my kids that no matter what I wear, no matter what I do, no matter what I say, I'm so embarrassing. I still think I have good style. I always love to try to coordinate clothes. I'm fascinated by colors. I love to try to make things match. And I notice nowadays my own children, they're not so much into that. I think it comes from growing up. We didn't have a lot. So whatever we did get, we would try to match a new top up with a pair of jeans or a trousers that we might have got a few years ago. I think there is bound to be a few times, if I think hard enough, when I may not have been as stylish as I thought I was, especially on nights out, when I got a small bit inebriated. And when I looked a certain way going out and thought I looked so throughout the night, only to arrive home and shock myself when I looked in the mirror and the style had greatly altered thanks to the inebriated state. So what is the worst style or the most embarrassing style that I've ever had? I wouldn't say there is really any. I've gone through the decades. I've gone through 5 decades now. I've adapted to fashions and styles of the time, and I've held on to some of my own particular style. And I think I've just adapted, and I'd say there's nothing good or bad about them all. They were just styles of the time. So my kids, I know they would think that the 80s style was quite horrific, that shaggy body wave or the permed hair, they cannot understand it. But we didn't have straighteners back in those days. So I'd say all my styles were styles of the time and a little bit of my own style. Neither good nor bad, but only thinking makes it so. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Siobhan. Very interesting answer. Do I have any add-ons to this one? Anyone has any? Deirdre, you're on.
Thank you, Madam Topics Master. I would never, ever have been mistaken for a stylish person and probably never will be. Occasionally, I have ventured into style, but it's utter accident or the good luck of the shopkeeper or a family member. But when I was 16 in my Leaving Cert year, we were having a graduation. And I went down, nobody was going to tell me what to do. I didn't consult or care with anybody. I went down to the shop to order a graduation outfit for me. They looked at patterns, she helped me pick them out. And the sticking point was the material. For some reason or other, I took an aversion to most of the materials and picked a cotton for my graduation dress. Cotton, based on utter ignorance. It was black with tiny, mini little flowers in stripes. I don't know. I'd like to say I would have been inebriated, but I was 16, so it was highly unlikely. Fortunately, when I did get it and I put it on, it was horrific. Top and a body, together. Oh, I don't know, just there's no words for it. But I was fortunate that our year went on a retreat to probably something like Spanish Point from school. And during the retreat, a couple of my year mates, I think there were about 5 classes of Leaving Certs, but my year mates, some of them smuggled Bacardi and Coke onto this religious retreat. And obviously they were caught, maybe they were inebriated, I don't know. But our head nun called us all into her office, gave us all a slap in the hands, and our graduation was cancelled. So I never got to wear this horrific dress. So I was saved. I don't even know what happened to it. Madam Topics Master.
What luck! Oh my God, talk about the Irish luck. Great stuff, Deirdre. Thank you very much. What songs would be played on a loop in hell, David?
Thank you, Madam Topics Master. What songs will be that's easy. It'd be something like Westlife, Flying Without Wings, or something like that. Horrible songs. Desperate and yeah, Westlife would be featured predominantly in hell for me. Maybe Boyzone, a few of those bands. Actually, as an aside there, I think one of the forms of torture that they used in Guantanamo Bay was playing Westlife, Flying Without Wings over and over again, along with the waterboarding and the sleep deprivation and bright lights and all that. So yeah, it'll feature fairly high up there, all right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Sharon.
Thank you. What a lovely question. I think the first one that comes into mind is, it's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes, because that's the first thing that came to my mind. But as for funeral songs, I often say my funeral song will have to be Wake Me Up Before You Go Go.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Sharon. We'll write that down, don't worry. Monica, which are cooler, dinosaurs or dragons? What do you think?
You unmute
Your
yourself.
microphone's off, Monica. Yeah.
Oh, I say thank you very much, Topics Master. Sorry. Can you hear me now? Yeah.
We can hear you, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I say, yeah, we prefer, I like the fantasy ones, like the dragons. So that's very mystical creatures that can be very interesting. I mean, but in general, for me, is I would like to know. I like to know more about the dinosaurs. I think it's very good to think about living in that time. And just I like to read about some of them and how they used to live there. And yeah, I think dinosaurs are very interesting. Also for the kids, my kids love to dinosaur, and I think it's a very good activity for them to learn more about history or tales or things like that. So yeah, I like that part. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much, Monica. Very interesting. Dragons, dinosaurs, they're all kind of mystical creatures, I think. Antoinette, what toy did you hate as a child?
Thank you, Madam Topics Master. What toy did I hate? That's a hard one because I didn't really hate toys. When I think back on toys and what we had when we were young, would have been a jigsaw. I can remember very early on, jigsaw, like might have been 5 or 6 pieces in it, and we loved it. And of course, we fought over it. What I remember a lot about toys in my childhood is all of us. There was 4 girls in my house, and everything from dolls to everything we had, we someone was always looking for it. And I suppose that's what I hated. I was the eldest in the house, and I would have hated if the toy got damaged or something happened to the doll. I would have not liked that sharing as much with the smaller ones, because invariably the toy got broken. And it was like we were all inebriated with the way the damage that was done in the house was just for 4 girls. All of the chaos around us with the toys. I suppose what I would have gone to visit cousins that was all boys, and they would have had a lot of little cars and little farm animals and like dinosaurs and dragons that we were talking about a moment ago, and they wouldn't have been, I suppose, my most favorite thing to play with. So if I was to say anything, it probably would have been the boys' toys as such, because we would have loved to play football with them and all of that, but I used to find the little cars and animals just a bit tiresome. But overall, I suppose, and maybe it's the time that we were in as well, the toys that we had, we were just glad to have them, to be honest with you. And be it the box or be it anything, we were just so grateful. So thank you very much, Madam Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Antoinette. Anyone? Helen? Go on.
Madam Topics Master, my aunt was really, really good to me. She bought me my first bicycle, my first tricycle, my first everything. When I was in college, she sent me money every week. But I always remember one of my birthdays, and it was around 8, 9, 10. And she came down with her on her bicycle, and on the back of the bicycle was a big box. And I was dying to open the big box for my birthday. And when I opened it, inside of the big box was a doll with her hair stuck. You couldn't comb it, and you couldn't move it, and you couldn't change it. And I did not want a doll. I wanted Cindy. And I wanted her house or her clothes or anything else to do with Cindy, but not a Delft doll. And she was so good to me that I didn't say it, but I never, ever played with that doll. I hated it. I just hated the Delft doll. She had a horrible face. And that drove me mad. And I just left it in a corner of the room and it was never opened again. I don't think she particularly found out, but if she did, she got the message. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Helen. That's great.
And
Francis, yeah?
I'll tell you, the best present we ever got was a table tennis set. Now, the table we used to play on was a very, very small table. And my brother always won. But then the ball started to get broken. And the odds were 50-50 then, because the ball could go anywhere. And I won a few games. But I suppose the worst present I ever got was a pitch and putt sticks. Before we got them, we used to play pitch and putt with a hurley and a ball. And we always won. But the minute we got those pitch and putt sticks, we never won after that. So we're the worst thing that ever happened to us. So all in all, like we generally got good presents growing up, but they were simple and we made the most of them. And I'm grateful for those presents. And they were very simple, but that tennis or that table tennis, we probably played that for years. And yet it probably cost so little, but we got great enjoyment out of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francis. Francis.
Oh,
Deirdre, yeah, go on, please. It's okay, we have one more add-on.
Yeah, Madam Topics Master, when I was small, Crawley dolls were the bee's knees, and I played with Crawley dolls, but I also played with cutout dolls, Bunty from the comics, and I also drew my own dolls, cars, and different things like that. Now, but I wasn't just one-sided like that. I also loved playing with cars outside, and you'd have tracks and race tracks outside in the earth. And I also loved playing with guns or hurleys, stand-in for guns and bow and arrows. So I had both sides. But when I got to a certain age, I wasn't interested anymore in any of the doll side, but I was more interested in the adventures and the excitement side. But for Christmas one year, I got the identical present to my sister, who was a year and 2 months younger from me. I got a doll in a buggy. Both of us got the identical dolls in a buggy. Maybe there was a slight color difference. I was disgusted, absolutely disgusted. And my biggest memory is my father shouting out at me in the window as I banged the doll on the ground, saying, "I don't want it," or whatever it is I was saying in a bold way. And the reason I think that I was so disappointed and angry about it was because we were treated as though we were the same people and had the same interests, when we were two completely different people with completely different interests. My sister probably loved the doll and got a great kick out of it, whereas, you know, give me a hurley, give me a bow and arrow, give me something with a bit of adventure and excitement, and, you know, then I would have been happy. Madam Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Deirdre. I must say my sister would disagree with you. The one time she got a different present to me, she has never forgiven my parents for that. Super. Francis, I have a question for you. Who was your childhood actor or actress crush?
Childhood. It's very hard when you're a child to, like, I suppose, Wonderly Wagon would have been the animals, I suppose, Crow or Foxy, or what do you call her? She had curly hair. Oh, she was a singer. What's that?
Godmother, was it?
No, not Godmother. But as a child growing up, I don't think I had any crush. I had no interest, but then children generally don't have any interest. And you just liked watching things now. But the one thing I always remember is what was very important in relation to family life. I remember Mass was very important, and you'd have to get your hair washed on the Saturday night. The flea comb was out, and fleas were pulled out of your hair. But there was this program called The Reardons. Now that was the Dallas of TV back then. And I had no time for it. But again, I have to go back. I really had no childhood crush. I think when you're a child, and your only interest is what is the next game? Where am I going tomorrow? So maybe if you ask me about what my crush is today, I'd answer. But unfortunately, I didn't. So I'm not going to answer it. So that's my answer anyway. Right.
Next time. Thank you very much, Francis. And I have Siobhan.
Thank you, Anna. My childhood actor crush. I think to put childhood and crush into the same sentence, probably a bit of an oxymoron. I'm not sure that it happens in childhood, but I think I knew that my childhood was finishing when I began to have a crush, an actor crush. And that actor was most definitely Patrick Swayze in Dirty Dancing. That was the first movie I watched where I kind of thought, oh my goodness, there's something happening here. There's something happening inside of me. There's something happening in my brain, in my body. And I thought, yeah, I like Patrick Swayze. I watched that movie as a teenager. Well, I think I was younger than a teenager, actually. I watched it probably about 20 times. And it may have had something to do with the fact that I love dancing. But I think there's something really, really special about Patrick Swayze too. And not only did I love him in that movie, I also loved him in Ghost. So definitely my childhood, or my first actor crush, was definitely Patrick Swayze.
Thank you very much, Siobhan. Do I have time for another add-on?
What do you think, Samash? Okay, we'll give you another add-on and that's it.
Perfect. Okay.
I'm getting the thumbs up here.
Antoinette.
I just have a brief thing to add there. When Siobhan was talking about, and she's right, I suppose it would be in the childhood, moving into our teenage years. But the one program I watched religiously every week would have been MacGyver. And I just loved, and I'm trying to think of his name. And was it Richard Dean Anderson? Was that his name? Oh, I just loved MacGyver. And I watched that religiously every week. So that was my definite childhood, or teenage, I'll call it, actor crush. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Antoinette. And just very quickly, Deirdre has something to say there as well.
Myself and my first cousin were mad about William Shatner, Captain Kirk of Star Trek. We thought he was absolutely gorgeous. And of course, MacGyver came in there somewhere as well, and there was some other person. And I think we were in childhood. I don't think it was we're anywhere near adulthood, but I could have been wrong. Thank you, Madam Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Deirdre. And thank you everyone for your brilliant answers. We're going to wrap up for now, and I will pass the virtual gravel back to Francis for the rest
Thank
of
you
the
very
night.
much for everyone's contribution, and everyone got a chance. And thanks very much to our Topics Master, who gives some great topics. I am told that I have a chance to throw a topic back at you. So who was your childhood crush? Who was your childhood crush on?
Oh yes, Jake Gyllenhaal. So, and it was definitely childhood as well. He is the actor who played in The King of Persia. So it was a movie that I was passionate about, and I absolutely loved Jake in it. I think it was probably the only movie that I really loved him in so much, but it was enough for his picture to be printed on canvas by my friend for my birthday and put up on my wall for a few years to come. So yes, definitely Jake Gyllenhaal, King of Persia. And if you haven't seen it, I recommend it, although I cannot guarantee that you will like it. Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster.
Right, then we'll take a break. And what is it, for 30 minutes? Is that okay, Smash. No, we'll have
Yeah,
a 5
it's fine.
minute break, and
Let's do that.
we'll be back here then. So a quick cup of tea and a biscuit, and you're on your way. So we'll see you back here about 9:05. That's 7 minutes.
Oh, never.
Oh yeah, you're getting a big dinner break today. Meeting. Okay. The second part of the meeting is about speeches and evaluations in general. And tonight we have 2 speeches. And the first speech is from the visualization communication part, and it will be given by Siobhan Fitzgerald. And the evaluator for the speech is Sharon Dooley. Sharon, could you give the objectives for this speech, please?
Hi, yeah, so Siobhan's speech is called Let's Stand Revisited. And it's, as you said, under the visionary communications number 3, creating visual aids. And the speech is from 5 to 7 minutes long.
Right, thanks very much, Sharon. So, Siobhan Keenan with a speech called Let's Stand Revised, with a speech called Let's Stand Revised, Siobhan Fitzgerald.
Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Super. Okay, thank you. It is our ability to communicate that enables us to build relationships, collaborate for a common purpose, deliberate, and share ideas as citizens. Fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. Good evening. My opening quote comes from research by Millard and Menzies, 2016. Yet, in spite of the importance of communication and presentation skills, Schaefer, 2010, explains that in many cases, educators fail to arm students with essential skills to perform even the most rudimentary, the most basic of public speaking engagements. In 2015, at a Toastmaster meeting, an Athlone Toastmaster meeting, a simple idea struck me. If adults are experiencing fear of speaking in public, are we doing anything or enough in primary school to mitigate or at least to meet this fear head on? As a teacher of students from disadvantaged backgrounds, I decided that I was going to begin training my students in the skills of public speaking just to see what might be possible. I was truly amazed. A small idea began to grow into a program, the Let's Stand program, empowering student voice, making public speaking a habit and second nature at a time when children most want to talk. So in 2016, I began to study part-time with the University of Lincoln in the UK for a PhD in education. Just this summer, I completed my thesis, finally. The title of my thesis is Public Speaking in Primary School, Policy, Practice, Perceptions of Parents and Teachers, and the Potential to Empower Learning. The key findings of my study show a pervasive fear amongst adults because of no training or lack of training and lack of opportunity. Interestingly, a first initial negative experience of speaking in childhood was connected with this fear. This is fun. Explicit public speaking skill training positively impacts children's self-efficacy, their confidence, and their vocabulary acquisition. And finally, public speaking skills, can't see it, are on the curriculum, though not mentioned as public speaking. Based on the findings of my research, I have revised the Let's STEM program, and this year the new books for primary school were published by forschools.ie. These books empower students to begin a magical speaking journey of their own as they build confidence and competence in the skills of listening, evaluating, and speaking. By learning the skills of public speaking, one by one, step by step, and practicing them regularly. The new student books are labeled A for able, B for brave, C for confident, and D for daring. Aware of the importance of modeling and social modeling in learning, primary school students are introduced to the character of Athlone, a quiet, shy character who, although shy, has so much to share. Athlone itself is inspired by a robot, just like itself, that it sees on TV, speaking clearly and confidently to people who are enjoying what they are hearing. Athlone realizes that if it wanted to become a better football player, it would learn the skills and practice. If it wanted to become a better musician, it would learn the skills and practice. With all its heart, Athlone wanted to become a better speaker. So, bingo! It would learn the skills and practice. To inspire the speaking journey for children, speaker stories are shared of powerful speakers, young and not so young, but who were all young once, who have made their mark, changing their lives and the world with their voices. Across the 4 books, children will be motivated and inspired by the stories from top left-hand corner of Greta Thunberg, Matty Stepanek, Amanda Gorman, Joe Connolly, the hurler, Emma Watson, Barack Obama, Joanna Reardon, Martin Luther King, and our very own Michael D. Higgins. It is a fact of life that every day people young and old face the prospect of speaking in some type of public forum. Yet, a pervasive fear of public speaking amongst adults worldwide is well documented. It appears that this fear is due to a lack of training, lack of practice, lack of experience, lack of opportunity, low confidence, and for many, an initial negative experience of speaking in childhood, unprepared for. What if there's something that we can do about this? Did you know that apprehension associated with communicating increases at age 10? So, what is the place of public speaking in primary school? My study, through a mixed methods approach, a combination of surveys, action research, teacher interviews, and literature review, investigated the policy, practice, perceptions of parents and teachers, and the potential of public speaking skill training to empower learning in primary school. In April this year, the Speak for Change inquiry report was published in the UK. For all children's lives as children, for connection, for well-being, learning in school and out, life outcomes and employability. Public speaking skill is a skill to mitigate disadvantage and positively impact social mobility. The NCCA, National Council for Curriculum and Assessment in Ireland, detailed in 2012 that oral language empowers children to develop their thinking, expression, reflection, critique, and empathy, and supports the development of self-efficacy, identity, and get this, full participation in society. It's clear then that there is a very important place for public speaking in primary school. I ask you, fellow Toastmasters, then, to take a stand with me and spread the word. Together, let's stand. Mr. Toastmaster.
Right, thank you very much, Siobhan, for that speech. In my introduction, I think I brought you back in time initially when I referred to you as Siobhan Keenan, but I did save myself at the end when I said Siobhan Fitzgerald. Right, sorry, what was the time for that timer, that speech, please?
Francis, the time for that speech was 9 minutes and 20 seconds.
Right, thank you very much. We can take a minute out now, just give some kind of feedback for Siobhan's speech, please. Okay, our second speech is from It's Engaging Humour, Pat, and it is going to be given by Deirdre O'Murcade. The evaluator for this speech is Monica Medina. I'm sorry now for the mispronunciation if there is one. And could you give me the objectives for this speech, Monica? I don't think, can you hear me, Monica?
Yeah, I can hear you.
And would you please give me the objectives there for Deirdre O'Murcade's speech, please?
Yeah. Yeah, basically we observe the speech and evaluate the criteria, the clarity, vocabulary, eye contact. I didn't have all the specific content for this. Right now, I think I don't have it this at the moment. Sorry, but I got the evaluation criteria with all the points to evaluate. Is that what I need to mention there?
No, it's like the objectives. Sorry, did I not say objectives? The objectives of the speech.
Yeah, you said.
Yeah, no, if you don't have them, that's fine. There's no problem.
Yeah, I do have those.
Like we can evaluate. You can evaluate afterwards. Like there's no problem.
Okay.
Like you've been doing very well so far. With topics, you've done a great job. And So like, it's good. Like, it's good. So Deirdre, now this is just to show how bad I am. I don't have the name of the speech here. Deirdre,
Appendages.
with a speech called, I'm not sure, with a
Appendage.
speech called, sorry?
Appendage. Appendage.
With a speech called
Appendage.
Appendant, Deirdre O'Murray. So we all can make mistakes.
According to Merriam-Webster, appendage is defined as a usually projecting part of an animal or plant body, which is typically smaller and of lesser functional importance than the main part to which it is attached. So the points I'm making here is it projects outwards, it's smaller, and it's less functional importance. Top table, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. I tonight have a really serious speech to deliver to you. This is of utmost importance, and I want you to take it very, very seriously. It's a topic that I feel has been neglected, and it needs, tonight I'm giving it its own dedicated time, space, and opportunity to discuss it. It's about a part of your body that people don't normally speak much of. It can be discreet in some individuals and completely blatant in other individuals. Yes, it projects in the body. Yes, it's smaller than the main form. And yes, it's arguably of less functional importance. Now, I don't want you to get the wrong impression. It's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, it is one of the few external organs that actually grows all your life until your death. And now you've guessed it, haven't you? I'm talking, of course, about your ears. I myself have been guilty of having a casual attitude, approach, and taking my ears for granted all my life. I've just not given it enough attention. But that all completely changed in the last 12 months of COVID. Now, as I mentioned earlier, during COVID, my hair went completely wild. And once we could go back to the hairdresser, I went back to the hairdresser and I decided, instead of getting my really short haircut and the number 2 blade at the back, I'd let my hair grow a little bit. My hairdresser had been familiar with my intensive hair care routine of wash, go, run my fingers through it, added an extra 6 seconds of my routine by telling me I must tuck my hair behind my ears. Tuck my hair behind my ears. It was as though I was struck by lightning. In this modern age, we are neglecting the importance of a well-developed ear. I feel that it's undervalued, ignored, and completely underestimated. Now, to make my point, apart from the ability or the use of tucking my hair, keeping my hair behind my ears, it has other benefits. Now, you may notice I'm like another or Deirdre Doe. I am a reflection of people in the community for this purpose tonight. So you may see I have earrings in my ear, middle one in each is long. You may also see that I wear glasses. Now, with my eyesight slightly deteriorating over the years, I'm inclined to put my glasses on my head, and as a result, they're slightly wider than my face, and they live out a precarious existence on my face, especially when I move my head. Also, over the last 10 years, my hearing has deteriorated. And a number of years ago, I invested in hearing aids. Now, I have a similar contentious relationship with my hearing aids, varying from neglect to fury to an intimate coziness. The next item on my list is the dreaded mask, the loop round, attaches itself to your ears. Take that and add in earbuds, hat, earphones, and you can see the intense competition from on, behind, and around my ears. Now you may say to yourself, what's the problem? You have these beautiful shell-like ears, big deal. Well, no, okay, nobody ever said I had shell-like ears, but I digress slightly. What's the problem? And the answer is, creates a monstrous hazard in my life. Public transport, entering and leaving buildings, and above all, shopping. Let me explain about shopping. I go in shopping and I bend forward to pick up a paper or pick some veg. Bend my head down and my glasses fall in and nestle among the onions. Okay, sometimes my glasses are on my head and I bend down and the glasses tear my hair before they ultimately nestle in the onions. When I leave the shop, I'm outside, taking off my mask and thank God, a breath of fresh air at last. And what happens? I take my mask off. My hearing aid jumps out of my ears. My glasses fly off and crash to the ground. My earrings disappear into the ether. Can you imagine how poor old Vincent van Gogh would have survived if he lived today? So my earnest plea is for you to pay more attention to your ears and respect and look after them and trust them. As playwright Robert Frost has said, the ear is the only true writer and the only true reader. Did poet and sexton not say, put your ear down close to your soul and listen hard? And in my view, the philosopher Voltaire says it best, the ear is the avenue to your heart. After this heartfelt plea, supported by a poet, a playwright, and a philosopher, I expect you to look more kindly on your ears, treasure them, treat them with respect. If you don't, you could be hearing from me. Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay, David, what is the time for that, please?
The time on that, on Deirdre's speech is 7 minutes and 19 seconds, Francis.
Right, thanks very much, David. We're going to have 1 minute now for feedback, and David will ring the bell when the minute's up. Right, thanks very much, David. So now we're into evaluations. And the evaluator for Siobhan's speech was, the evaluation for Siobhan's speech was Sharon. Sharon, could you give the evaluation for Siobhan's speech, please?
Hi, Siobhan, where are you? Oh yeah, I see you. Hi. Siobhan, wow, very, very professional speech. Okay, so the things I'm going to say are the good and the real nitpicking things. You made it hard to find things to give you advice for. Your speech was very clear. I love the way that you checked in. Can everyone see the screen? Because so often we see people carry on without doing them checks. So it was great that you did that. Very well organized, very passionate speech. Your vocal variety was outstanding. I love the D is for daring, you know, the way that you extended there really caught mine. And your tongue twister of a title, which had 7 P's in total out of 16 words. And so nearly 50% were P's, and you rolled them off your tongue so well and precise. There was no hesitation in that. So it was just outstanding. Your eye contact was great. You had the camera at the right level. We weren't looking up to you. You weren't looking down on us. And that was absolutely great. The slides were colourful and they were really within fitting of the speech and the examples of the work. It was very interesting. Your gestures were great, both the descriptive and the conversational. I love the, you know, the small idea and the big idea, the way that you used your hands were just fantastic, and the passion on the topic. And you announce your expertise, you know, as a teacher, which gave me an element of trust straight away as what you were saying. I had the background to it, so I loved that. And you recognize the needs because of how adults have the fear. And I love the observation of teaching children to speak when they want to talk the most. That's just magic, absolutely fantastic. For me now, the second slide had a little bit too much text and you needed to kind of dance around to kind of see it. It was a little bit distracting and a little note dependent at times for your level of speaking. I mean, you know, these are little things that I'm picking. It was a topic that you know so well, so I would have liked to seen you looking less at the notes, especially at the start of the speech. Your timing was a little over 2 minutes over. A challenge I would like to put to you just for fun is, if you're using slides, maybe have a slide with just one word or one image and talk around that instead of every slide being a busy slide, if that makes sense to you. But overall, wow, like professional speaking, you're doing as you're encouraging the youngsters to do, you're living it. Very engaging, very entertaining, very motivational. And as I said, the things I'm picking is for your level of speech. You know, I wouldn't dream of saying that to too many people. So it's actually a very big compliment to you. Thank you very much.
Great evaluation, Sharon. Could I have a time now for that, David, please?
On Sharon's evaluation, oh sorry, I'm all yellow there. The time on that Sharon's evaluation is 3 minutes and 14 seconds.
Well, thanks very much, David, for that. Our next speech was evaluated by Monica, a speech from Deirdre. So Monica, could you please give your evaluation?
Yes, thank you very much, Toastmaster. I'm just starting doing this role, sorry for that. But yeah, I noticed the speech was well delivered. Deidre had a good spoken language. It's clear and easy to understood. Something that could be improved there is just to use probably some other funny expressions and some other different words to get more engagement also from the people at the beginning. But you use very well your body language. You were stand up and moving and showing different items during your delivery of the speech. You use very well your voice volume, and the eye contact with the audience was also very effective. All your gestures, facial gestures were, facial expressions were very well delivered. Also, I feel the energy when you were explaining everything about the ears and all the things that we put on them. And yeah, so it was funny and was nice to have that. Yes, regarding the yeah, I saw the comfort level when you were delivering your speaking was well, yeah. Appears that the fully is with the engagement with the audience. Yeah, your variety of the voice volume and the pace was good. You brought different things unexpected also during your speech, so that was interesting just to use different tools also. You had a very good posture also. You also exaggerate your expression, which was very good when you delivered some specific message, or when you want to remark some specific behavior. And I was watching in general the audience, and I said the humor resonates in most of us. So it was good. You finished your speech giving us a good advice about the ears with a good quote. I said that the ears is the avenue to the heart. So that's something very nice, and to remind us to take care of our ears. And yeah, I said it was a good, and I enjoyed that speech, and your time was well also. So you was in 7 minutes 17 seconds, just a little bit above the time. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Monica, and a good evaluation. I always feel humbled when I hear evaluations like those, because I have a lot to live up to myself. So and I think that deserves a clap as well. And what was the time for that, David?
Yes, Francis, the time for Monica's evaluation there was 3 minutes and 24 seconds.
Right, thanks very much.
Thank you, and I apologize for the first part. I didn't have prepared the objectives at the beginning of the presentation. So.
I know, these things happen, but what's important is that you get up and you move on with it. And you did that with the evaluation. So it happens to the best of us. And believe it or not, in stage 8 speech, I froze. It can happen anytime. So don't worry about things like that. Just get up and move on. So we'll go into the other reports now. And could we have the grammarian report, please?
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. Of course you can. Let me scroll up. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone. It was a really good quality meeting in terms of vocabulary and grammar. There weren't many mistakes that I've noticed. A few little things: an astrologist, to love something or someone, okay, and resonate with someone. So they were the only things really that stood out to me, apart from all the beautiful phrases that everyone across the board have used, like lovable rogues, I love that, non-hair shredder, phrases like I believe, I'm convinced, planetary influences on a body of water, lovely, ascribe to a belief, to paraphrase, I love that word, it's so nice, in the horrors, to coordinate clothes, to make things match, fascinated with. Occasionally, I had ventured into something. Collaborate for a common purpose, rudimentary engagements, not to mention all the beautiful vocabulary that went into the 2 speeches that we listened today that our evaluators have commented on already. I was in awe listening to you. It was great to be reminded after such a long break what a great range of vocabulary people have in Toastmasters. You don't get to hear it every day, you must admit. In terms of the word of the day, I noted 5 uses of it, twice Siobhan, twice Deirdre, and once Antoinette. If I'd missed someone, I apologize. My baby was crying for most of it, so I was a little bit distracted, but 5 is not a bad number, and I realize that it's a very specific contextual word that I chose for today, so it doesn't always fit the context of what you have to say. Otherwise, congratulations, fantastic meeting grammatically, and thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Our next person is our general evaluator, and I'm sure there'll be praise all over the place here from Antoinette.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Well, what a great meeting we have had. We started off, we were probably all a little bit disappointed because we thought we'd be having a hybrid meeting. But as Sept said, it is all about improvisation. And in fairness, that change was accommodated so well by Sept, was sent out to us all, and we all knew as soon as he did that the meeting would be taking place online. And that was handled so efficiently by Sept. So thank you for that, Sept. And we had our agenda circulated in advance, and that is always good because that helps to ensure that the meeting will run smoothly. And we were all logged in and ready to go, and the meeting did kick off on time. So that was great because that ensures we get to have our breaks and that we'll all finish up on time as well. So our president, Sept, welcomed us to the meeting, and he was inspiring us and motivating us and reminding us about reaching for our goals. And he gave us all something to be inspired by. And he introduced us then to our Toastmasters evening, and that was Francis. And Francis welcomed us all to the meeting, and Francis drew our attention to the agenda. And he pointed out to all the very hard and very valuable work that our VP of Education does, Anna. And I thought that was lovely because it is great to see all the hard work that takes place behind the scenes that maybe we're not all aware of. But that is lovely to see that acknowledged because without that, there would be no Toastmasters. So thanks for that, Francis. And thanks to you, Anna, for the great agenda and getting it done. Francis then went on and he called on our timer to explain his role, and David introduced us to his role, and he clearly set out his role and what was involved. And he explained his timings. He mentioned about the topics and the length of time we'd have and for add-ons. And he also talked about the prepared speeches. And he had the coloured backgrounds ready, and he tested them in advance, which was great because we could all see how they were working. And it meant that the speakers clearly knew what to expect when Francis would be timing their speeches. So thanks for that, David. We were then introduced to our grammarian, and the grammarian set out their role very well. She introduced us to the word of the day, inebriated, which was very fitting for our light-hearted meeting this evening. And she pointed out that she'd be listening out to help us improve our grammar and our vocab and helping us all to improve and get better every week. So well done, Anna. And then Anna stepped in to the role of Topics Master. And she agreed to do this role at the very last minute. And that again is what Toastmasters is all about. Someone available to help out and to take over. And we had another offer as well from Sharon. So that was great to see that that meeting could proceed, and it proceeded. And you could have been preparing all week with the way that you did all the topics out very smoothly and no problem. So you had a great range of light-hearted topics. And it led to some fun and stories from us all and a very enjoyable topic section. So well done. Now, the speech evaluators, I don't evaluate the speakers, so I will just evaluate our 2 speech evaluators. And well done to Sharon and Monica for taking on these roles. These are very important roles, and they're very important to our speakers, and so well done on taking them on. And our first speech evaluator was Sharon, and she evaluated Siobhan's speech. And Sharon explained her role very well, and she introduced the speaker with details of their speech. And it is important that the speaker feels very positive after giving their speech. And this was definitely the case, Sharon. You gave a very passionate, very positive response and report on the speech. And you mentioned many positives, and I counted at least 12, and there are probably many more in there that you gave to Siobhan. And it's good to give a recommendation as well, which you did. And following that recommendation, you came back with another positive. So you were really motivating Siobhan. And you also challenged Siobhan with maybe a 1 word on a slide in the future, which gives something for Siobhan to think about in the future. So well done, Sharon, on your evaluation. And our second evaluator was Monica. And Monica, you evaluated Deirdre's speech, and you explained your role and introduced your speaker. And you got some help from Francis and from Somesh to help you to set out the guidelines for Deirdre's speech. And this support that was given is just the whole ethos of Toastmasters. This could be any one of us at any time, and that's what we're all there for. We're all there to support everyone else, and that is what we're about. And it was great to see it, that there was straight away support, Monica, for you, and you got on and you did your evaluation, and that is what Toastmasters is all about. And you know, we need to see that and to be reminded of that, because that's why we're here, to all learn and be supported from each other. And you gave a marvelous evaluation. You gave so many positives to Deirdre and went through all of her speech, and it was clear that you listened to it and you followed it closely, and you went back and you did all that over for Deirdre. You gave her a recommendation, and you also finished with a positive and were very motivating to Deirdre. And it is important, as I said, that the speaker feels positive, and you certainly achieved that, Monica. And you also mentioned the good advice that Deirdre gave us for the ear is the avenue to the heart. And well done, Monica, on your evaluation. So to conclude, I really enjoyed the meeting this evening. There may have been only 10 of us in the meeting, but it was a fun-filled, lively meeting from the very get-go. And that's thanks to all of you, everybody that's on the screen right now, the 10 of us, to make the very best of the meeting. And we certainly did that. So well done on another successful meeting, and thank you very much.
Thanks very much, General Evaluator. As I just want to reiterate what Antoinette said, it was a very good meeting, and it's great to see that and the ability of everyone in the meeting to do their role and do it well. While I was this meeting, I got a text from 2 lads. They want to go to 007 on Friday, and they want me to come. But when I got it, I thought about Winston Churchill, and the time when a lady wrote to him and said, "If I was your wife, I'd put poison into your wine." And he answered, "If you were my wife, I'd drink it." So it just came to mind there when I got that. We have the humorous speech competition coming up soon, and I was down to do a speech, but I can never do it well on a Zoom. So the jury is out now whether I'll go or not. But you know, when you will have noticed that the computer fell down there. I pulled it down there by accident, rushing for my hanky, because I am devastated now to have to tell you that. And I don't want you to be taking out your hankies either. But the jury is out, and it's just, I find Zoom a difficult thing to do a speech on. But I I think I'll make it. I think I'll make it genuinely. But as I said, the jury's out. So as I said, it's a great meeting, and I'm really happy tonight to have done what I've done. And I look forward to the next meeting. And so I'm going to hand you back over to our president, Sumash Kumar. Sumash.
Thank you very much, Francis, for running the show today. Excellent meeting, as was said by Antoinette as well, as a general evaluator. We have 10 members here today, and each and every member has contributed their best towards this meeting, which is what makes the meeting the best meeting. If each and every one of us participates with full enthusiasm, giving our experience out to others, that's what makes the whole meeting worthwhile. We are spending nearly 2 hours of the evening, and it is the experience of each and every one of us, the uniqueness of each and every one of us, that makes the meeting so pleasurable, so informative, and so entertaining. Thank you all so much for bringing in your own uniqueness into this meeting. And it's a great pleasure to be part of this meeting every second and fourth Tuesday that we meet. One of the things that we are struggling with, as you all know, is in terms of the members. And I would request each one of us to try and talk to our friends and acquaintances who want to improve their communication and leadership skills to come and give it a try. Come as a guest and give it a try and see how they feel, and if they like, they join us. And as I say, the more the merrier. Let's try and aim for that. And
Sumesh, may I say
yes.
something? Following on from what you're saying about encouraging more people to come, I was asked today if it would be possible for me to record some of the Toastmasters meetings and use it to make a program under Connect, extracts from bits of what people say, to put it all together to make a program. There would be voiceover, a bit by me probably, or something like that. So I'm just wondering, you have recorded this, and I know you'll be recording others. Would anybody have any objection if I was to use pieces out of it, out of maybe your voice or whatever voice, in a radio program?
No objection from me. Anyone else? No, I don't think anyone has objections.
Oh,
No,
No objections from me, Deirdre.
make us look good.
Well, that's it, you see. That's my role, is to make people look as good as possible. So if you had 10 ads, which I'm sure nobody had, I would be taking them out. But it's a combination, if it's a program, people will listen and they'll see, well, it's a bit of fun. And because the topics tonight were particularly good and people had fun with them, and there's a lot of add-ons, so I do think that type of thing would be very attractive for people. And then maybe if the competition is, I don't know if you can record the competition, you mightn't be able to. Might be some rules against it, but if you wouldn't mind, if Sumesh, you're recording this, if you were able to give me a copy of this tonight.
Absolutely.
It would be fantastic.
Yes.
And when it's all done and we get the podcast, when eventually it's done and we get the podcast, I can post it onto the link onto the Facebook page.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
And if anybody wants to be interviewed separately on this matter, I'd be delighted to. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Deirdre. One of the sayings for this meeting, there was one quote that I think Anna had for this, which says that when one tugs at a single thing in nature, he finds it attached to the rest of the world. It's quite an interesting quote. It shows how each and everything in this whole universe is linked to each other. It's amazing, this whole universe. And the linkage has become even more evident with the global village aspect that we have at the moment. It's unfortunate that it's the virus that has caused this, but it could be as well something very good, something, for example, if a positive vibration is coming out of us. That positive vibration affects each and every person we come across with. So it's like a positive, contagious thing that we can spread across the whole world. So with that message, I would like to conclude this meeting, and thank you so much for joining the session today. Thank you very much.